greatest of the greatest of the greatest of the greatest of the greatest. He was speaking. I remembered that there was something that he said that also started me on this journey. In fact, I was going to wear, I was going to wear shorts, but I was going to wear jeans, but I had a meeting at a bank. So I had to, dress the bank. I had to go and give a presentation. Can you hear me? Can I hear you? How can you hear that? Can hear you? How is it that you can hear me? Okay, let me rewind alumni of this school. Yesterday I got a text message to come back. I don't know who the ambassadors are, but I definitely will be back. And it's a pleasure and it's very humbling to be here. My break this afternoon, can I have my slides up, please? It's not the exciting part of things, it's not the motivational part of things, but you will thank me. So, my first task as a trainer is to ask two people, one female, to share 3 things that they have learned having sat through this hall since morning. So you've been here since what time? 12? Okay, so I did 1 female, I need 1 male. I have a manual to give out to those people. I just need you to lock in whatever it is that the people have taken very valuable time. I see that hand. Can you stand up, please?
All right. First thing, I learned that if you want to be going to this life, you have to learn how to love, you have to learn to give, and you have to learn to serve. Secondly, you have to be humble for you to go far. And thirdly, I've come to learn that it's not about the quality of the certificate, but it's about what you can give to the world.
It's not the quality of
the certificate you have, but about what you can give to the world.
I didn't hear that.
It's not about the quality of the certificate you have, but about what you can give to the world.
Okay, what you can give to the world, fantastic. Okay, can we have a lady? Yes, please. And Bukola, can you please give him one of the manuals? Thank you very much. You put up his hand first. First mover.
Okay, my name is Aima. I've learned very vital. I've got a very vital information from today's seminar.
Free hand, let's see. She has the mic. Okay, go on, Aima, very fast.
Okay, the first thing I learned is look beyond what I can see right now. I've learned to look into the future. I know what lies in the future. The pain I experience now is going to bring great joy in the future. And secondly, I've learned that whatever I'm doing, I should be able to do that. I should be able to know that whatever I'm doing, I'm not going to benefit.
Yeah, I asked you that last thing. So you learn to sleep far. You learn that no matter the pain, you should sleep far. And the last thing is. Don't be nasty now. Wait till she has the mic on. Okay, I'm listening. Okay. All right. Let me go very fast into the presentation. My topic today is the seamless transition from campus. Well, they gave me to the workplace, but haven't done what I've done over the last 7 years. I have rephrased it and said transitioning from campus, like you are on now, into the economy, because that is the ultimate destination, and there are options that you have that might not necessarily end in the workplace. Am I making sense? Okay. So, can I have the next slide? So the keywords, as in every task that I'm faced with, I pick out the keywords. So what are the keywords here? What are the assumptions? And what is it that I believe that the organizers, well done guys, fantastic organization, very proud of you, your money. So keyword words, some of the keywords were transition. All final year students in the house. Are you all final year students, or some of you are? Can I see your hand if you're in final year? Okay, so you're in the final year. All right. So there are realities in the environment that you're going to play with. I believe that I have to, if you don't know already, provide some further information and provide some context for you, so that when you do get into the economy, you will find it a less troublesome experience. So You're in final year, you're in school, you're at University of Lagos, you're obtaining a degree, you're learning, and ultimately you're going to put the learning into use in the Nigerian environment and beyond. So it's a journey that you're going to be, if you're going to Ibadan today, and you just got on the expressway, you had no idea where you were going, you passed no information to the driver, would you arrive in Ibadan in good time? You won't arrive in Ibadan in good time. So if you're going to go into the Nigerian economy, if there's an outcome that you anticipate from the acquisition of your degree, it's essential that you have a compass with which to navigate on that journey. It is common sense for you to understand and have a grasp of the realities in that economy. Because you are going to play in that economy. And when you understand the realities, then you're able to make a better informed choice. Will the experience be seamless? When I looked at that word, would it be seamless? Can it be seamless? I'm not sure. The jury is still out on that. But we can mitigate. You can have enough information to make it a seamless experience. Are there opportunities out there? We're going to discuss that, find out if there are opportunities, and how do you then meet the demand of that next level? I took a class earlier on in the today, and I said to them, these are people who have been in the economy a lot longer than you, who are looking for jobs, so they've been unemployed. And I said to them that the truth about the matter is, whatever it is that you want to do next, it's a next level, and there's a demand for that next level. And it's the knowledge of that next level and how to navigate and how to operate at that next level that makes or mars your success. And then, of course, we'll discuss the action levers, the options that you have. Are you going to become a job creator? Are you going to become a 7-star graduate? Since that's the theme of this class. So this is the context in which you operate, and I'm going to tell you a story. I graduated from the University of Lagos in 1994, decades ago, with a degree in biochemistry, a degree that, to be honest, I struggled through because my father wanted me to study medicine. Either between me and Jam, either I jammed me. So I enrolled in biochemistry with the ultimate choice or the plan to, change into or move into medicine. But that never happened because at an innate level, it wasn't really what I wanted to do. And I remember that whilst I was on this campus, I went to the IRPM, the Department of Industrial Relations and Personnel Management, and I made friends in that department because at that level, I knew that that was what I wanted to do. So they said to me, I said, I want to change my course, can I? I said, yeah, why not? And I went home to my father. My father said, the day you change that course, that's the day you move out of this house. Because my daughter must be a doctor. Long and short, of course, I stayed in biochemistry and I left. I then left the country and went abroad. Whilst I was abroad, I understood and I went through the pain of unemployment. And some of the things that I learned during that process is what we've been able to pass on to quite a number of thousands of young people in AGDC today. So to be honest, that pain was worthwhile. Subsequently, I then moved on in my career. Whilst I was in the UK, I couldn't speak the language of employers because I hadn't been taught. There are no institutions, or they're not career guidance practices sufficient enough for the needs of the 21st century as it obtains now. Am I right or wrong? I think there's a career guidance. There's something in business admin. They provide some kind of career counseling in the business admin department now. Anybody ever attended? Not yet. Why not? I know that it's supported by the US. I think it's supported by the US Embassy.
That's it.
And who? Before, not anymore. Okay. All right. You make a case for the fact that we don't have robust, compared to your contemporaries who are schooling abroad, you don't have the support that you should get, aside from the BSc or whatever it is, the technical skills that the school is giving you. There's some non-cognitive things that you should learn that allow you to market that certificate when you're post in education. I'll cut the story short. I then found my way by trial and error. I did a psychometric test found that my core competencies were in HR, marketing, or volunteer work, the social development space. I then went back, joined the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management. I just took myself back to school, found a job, applied for a job here in Nigeria, started working in HR. My first experience of working, the first multinational that I worked in, was the fact that we did have jobs. When we did have jobs, when there were jobs available, a lot of times the product of the Nigerian university system could not compete for those jobs. And I subsequently moved on to another multinational, and my experience as HR manager talent was to bring in 15 young graduates who were meant to then be groomed to be the leaders of the company. And it was at that point that was my tipping point to do what I do today. I was shortlisted from a pool of 96,000. I had to shortlist from 96,000 to 8,000. And somewhere in between that process, somebody sent me the picture that you see on the screen, the first picture that you see on the screen. Nicola, can I have that, please? The next one, the one after it. You have to press the next one. That's it. So the picture to the left, a friend of mine, she's now a HR director in another company. She forwarded it to all of us in HR and said, she captioned it, "Reasons to thank God for your job." And I looked at this picture. It was a bank test that had gone wrong, very wrong. So this bank is no longer in existence, had put adverts out that they needed young people. And a sea of people had congregated at some place in Okwebi, in Ikeja. Can you see them? And I remember looking at the picture very hard. At the same time, I think it was just that experience for me. I'm shortlisting people who had a first class and had 2-1s. I mean, thinking about it now, you know, I would copy and paste some of the things and say, well, surely couldn't have been a graduate of some of these things. Very deplorable, not to the standard of any company, even if you're a small company, and there's certain things that you expect and anticipate from the education system. And it didn't. This was as far back as 2006. Now, the first time I was brought back into the first multinational I worked in, I remember that I was spending my time. I was spending the employer's time. I was spending the employer's time counseling young people. And I knew that was wrong because the employer did not put me into the system to counsel people. The employer put me into the system to ensure that our recruitment processes were efficient and that we were bringing in the best grades and the best minds. So at some point, my husband said to me, you know what, you're really passionate about this thing. Why don't you do something about it? And I remember thinking, you know, it really is not my problem. When I made HR director, when life is good, we moved to Ikoyi and the cars are full and the kids are at university abroad, why not? But the more I did this, the more I realized that there was such a huge gap. And the first lesson is, where there are problems, there are opportunities. And that at times, what you're looking for, the solution that you're looking for, will not present as an opportunity. It will present as a problem. And it's your responsibility, based on some of the things that PK said, for you to embrace that challenge and live out your potential. When Akoro was singing, I said to myself, there's something that we used to say at work, bring your difference to work. What you saw this afternoon was his own difference. He has honed it, he has put it in a way where you are exchanging value to experience that difference. And for you to transition successfully, you're going to have that mindset. There's no job waiting for you out there that you deserve. What you deserve is what it is that you invest or take the time to invest in that product called you. The second picture is, can we go back? The second picture, second one. The last one here, this one. This is 6 years later. 6 years later, we all saw what happened with customs. Am I right here? On that day, I made a decision. I said, this is an institutional flaw. The reason why you see seas of people going in one direction is because I think fundamentally, when there's a problem, you also have to go back and say, what is the root cause? What is causing this? And how can I be the solution provider to create a solution? So when I saw this, I realized that, you know what? As a country, there's a lot of work, there's a lot of talk going on around education reform, but we really haven't taken a stand around why our youth deemed not employable? And if they're not employable, what is the value of the time, the 5 years, the 6 years? What is not being put in? What is not being invested that needs to be invested? What we do in agency is you come to us for 4 weeks. And that was a short-term, look, listen, as an employer of labor, I'm trying to find people. I'm saying there are no people. Meanwhile, there's a youth board. There are massive numbers of people. But yet, I can't make a recruitment decision because they're not communicating competitively. They're not saying what it is that I want to hear. They're not demonstrating that when they get onto the job, they will perform. Those are some of the things that I'll discuss later on. My experience as a HR manager, when people sit across me, every tool that the HR managers use, psychologists use, to decide on job competencies, centers around. Centers on. Next one. Obi, I'm sure, has spoken about it. Conley has spoken about it. When you're going to decide what you're going to do with your career, what you're going to do with this degree that you're going to leave this university with, you have, at the end of the day, you have a career plan. You want to have a career plan. You have to ask yourself, what are my skill sets? What am I bringing to the table? Do I have a vision? And to be honest, a lot of times when I've said no to people across the table, it's because the person got into the arena, and it was when they sat in front of me that they tried to get. Sometimes the lack of preparation that denies people opportunities. What are you interested in? What are your values? What are your goals? Where are you going? Those are the questions that we ask you. Tell me about yourself. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And there's a task that we prescribe in AGDC. You get a blank piece of paper and you sit with yourself and you try to comprehend who you are and where you're going. And that is a journey, that is what acts as your compass from where you are now to where you want to get to. Who am I? Where am I going? What's a bouquet of services that I can offer such that I never get into that crowd? And it's in the communication of that somebody will give you an opportunity. PK spoke about if the security guard that had his CV came to me in that eatery, it is likely that I would have taken his CV, but it would not have been enough for me. I would have celebrated his drive, but I wanted to engage with him along these things. What do you know? What can you do? Where are you going? Who are you? Because what happens in this environment is that people just want to escape poverty. People just want to escape boredom and then get into a system and expect the owner of that system to pay them every month. But that is not the premise of employment. The premise of employment is that the visionary has a vision, is trying to get somewhere, wants to create value, and needs people to partner with him to be able to accomplish that vision. Am I communicating? A bit technical, I'm going to bore you a bit, but that is the lot, that is my lot. But I find that I have to say it as it is. It will serve you that I say it as it is so that you can take the time to do the work on yourself. And I heard this a lot. From Snowball, you sent us to so school and you also want to pay us 50,000 naira a month. But I'm a graduate. And I'm like, look, against the context in which you're operating, that's irrelevant. Okay, you're a graduate, let's talk. What do you know? Because it might be that you're an illiterate graduate. And because you've seen the numbers time and time again, for the program that your mother said she came through, believe me, sometimes we get funding for, that particular program, Samsung gave us funding. And as at the time, I think she took the program, for every quarter that we recruited for that, we got at least 7,500 applications. And we're not offering jobs. What are we offering? We're offering you an opportunity to come and demonstrate what you can. We understand that the system has not served you enough to be able to navigate in the environment that you found yourself. And that we're just going to give you a short-term solution so that when you get into the arena or you get into the competition against people that are coming from a system where they have been prepared, you can perform and be the preferred choice for the decision maker, for the recruitment decision maker. So the premise is this. Okay, you have a certificate. And I asked the minister, I sit on the National Competence Council, and I asked the minister a question a couple of weeks ago. We're talking about the education sector, the failings and the reforms, and a lot of things that we want to do at the national level. And I said to her, you know what? The more that I've seen the numbers of what I do, the more I'm beginning to question what the value of a Nigerian education is. What is the value of a Nigerian education is. I am questioning what is the value of the certificate that you hold in this environment? And how do you distinguish, or how do you take yourself out of the crowd? What are the extra things that you need to be aware of, that you need to do, the homework that you have to embrace, so that you never get into that crowd? It's very, it's very likely that if you do not hone this process, you will find yourself in that crowd. And I dare say to you that sometimes you've had people come to the center 10 years, I'm not scaring you, 10 years they haven't worked for one day. And a lot of times it's just in shifting their perspective and in shifting their expectation that you find that they're then able to make something out of their lives. I don't think anybody has been through any of our programs and not successfully found themselves, engaged in the economy. I hope I'm making some sense. So if you say that you're educated, there's a premise that you're knowledgeable and you know what you're speaking about. So when I interview you and say you have a degree in economics, there's certain conversations that we must be able to have about your project that is not guesswork. And a lot of times in my experience, people cannot even define. I remember when I worked in Airtel, the first question that we asked engineers, that had the 2 ones in the first classes, was define GSM. And you'd be surprised the percentage that could not define the word GSM. What am I saying? As you're gaining this certificate, as you're obtaining this certificate, make sure that it is something that you can be true to. It is something that you can be tested on. It is something that when I say, okay, you've got a degree in this, you prove faithful to that. And if you're not, if you find that you have a gap, believe me, there's never been any time in the world where there's been such an avalanche of information. Who knows about Coursera? Who knows Coursera? That's very few people. Coursera is an open source online platform for you to learn for free. For free. From professors in Stanford and Harvard, for free. You have no excuse. I say to my children all the time, I say, you know what, you will get educated, but I can guarantee you that the differentiator in the environment that you are is what is between your 2 ears. And it's no longer, a choice. It's a demand. It's what you know. You're competing. The world is so flat now. You're competing with people who do not sleep. China had to pass a law. China had to pass a law to stop mothers from putting their kids in school from too young for too many hours. If you go into the last time I was in Oxford, I had to ping a friend of mine. I said, I don't even know, am I in Asia? I was actually in Oxford. The number of Chinese people, because they realize they're trying to become a superpower. Why? With what? Is it oil? Is it with oil? With knowledge. And that's what you're going to differentiate. When you go to school, now you don't have young children, primary school. You see graduation ceremonies. There were graduation ceremonies. So, people are passing through school and getting graduated. You're not a graduate. You don't want to be a graduate. What you want to be is a knowledgeable program, an educated graduate, not just a graduate. And the thing about education is something that you configure by yourself. When we're in school, you say, come for MSc 101, you go, you write the notes. But you have to ask yourself at the end of that session, what have I learned? There's just so much information. You have to be questioning. You have to be in a form, things are not working in this environment because we haven't asked enough questions. So without, going, too far. Am I making any sense at all? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. Long and short, the premise of an education, or whatever it is that you're doing now, I'm sure you don't talk about it. Somebody came to see me a couple of weeks ago. His aunt is one of the wealthiest black women now. His auntie. And they have sent him to me because with all the degrees that he hasn't been able to get a job. So I said, okay, send him, let's have a conversation. So we sat down. But the good thing about him is, The only disadvantage he has is that he hasn't been able to hone a particular process I'm going to discuss with you now. He has the degrees, he has the network, he has the things that make for people to be able to transition to the next level. But he didn't have the capacity to by himself plan on a day-to-day basis. Not somebody said getting a job is a job. He didn't have the capacity by himself. And I said to myself, that's because people have done things for you all your life. I said, let's think about it. When you're going to go to school and we both agreed. I said, you need to now take ownership of a process. You need a compass. Let's give you a compass. When you get that compass, nobody is going to be responsible for how you deal on a day-to-day basis, so that the vision that you have, you can then hit that mark. And this is the best thing. You've got to understand a career plan is a key criteria for advancing in any economy. Anywhere you find yourself, you're going to have to understand that you need to build the competence and the capacity to plan your career. And it starts with knowing yourself. You've got to know yourself. Has anybody ever done a psychometric test? Has anybody ever done a psychometric test or sat down with a career counselor or a career coach? Have you ever done anything like that before? I'm only standing up here with a bit of I'm feeling too separated from. Can I step down? Am I allowed to step down? Yes or no? No? I'm feeling too disconnected. I'm used to close my 100 people. Since you haven't permitted him to step down, I'll stay up. Career planning is, fundamental to managing your transition from this campus into the workplace. Start with knowing yourself. And when I say know yourself, you must be able to answer the question, why should anybody hire you? Why should I hire you? So there are 10 of you, and I have one opportunity. In fact, are there any IT? I have 2 IT opportunities. We can discuss that with your money afterwards. So I have 10 opportunities. Why should I make the decision on you? That question you need to be able to answer by yourself and for yourself. You need to understand what your options are. I'm here and I'm trying to get there. What are my options and what road, what path do I follow? The ability to make decisions based on the options that are available to you. Constantly refine those options and then, of course, make a move on. And when I go down my slides, I'll be able to explain be able to explain myself better. Now, the question is, you hear it all the time. What's the unemployment rate in Nigeria now? Who knows? I want the final year students to answer me. If you're a final year student, put up your hand. That's a challenge in our environment. What this suggests to me is that you've embarked on a journey that, we talk about the future, on a journey that you haven't really thought about the outcome. Or you're thinking that when you then get to that bridge, you will cross it. Am I correct? Am I right? Now, can you imagine what percentage of people in that crowd thought like that a year ago, 2 years ago? Could it be that people are in that crowd because they haven't really taken the time to do this exercise? Could it be? Is there a possibility? So you have an opportunity. You're in good company. You have the opportunity to now proactively, in an environment where the institutions are functional, goes hand in hand as you're obtaining your BSc, your MSc, your whatever it is that you're obtaining at the technical level. It is a given. In fact, this morning somebody sent me a report that McKinsey has put together. And the purpose of that report is that, look, that we must be challenging the way that we're educating young people, because there are too many people on the street. I've spent the last 2 years in partnership with ILO just trying to understand that really, and why did I choose to take that path? Because I realized that, a former president had said to me when we started this, this thing you're doing is a waste of time. Young people are just lazy, just send all of them to the farm. And I'm like, no, there's something fundamentally wrong. Because I've seen enough in my HR career. But it's not that people are not smart. It's not that they don't have potential. But there's just a disconnect. And I want to find what the root of that disconnect is. And when we find the root of that disconnect, we flip it on its head, and we ensure that our country is competitive. There's no reason why we would have a 70% population of young people, and you term them, in fact, the last ILO report on the cover, it says that young people are a generation at risk. And when I engage young people, I say to them, are you at risk? Are you at risk? Are you at risk? Somebody said yes. Now the truth about the matter is you are the decider. You're the decider of that tag. Am I really at risk? And if my generation is at risk, perhaps I choose not to be at risk. And then these are the things that I'm going to do to ensure that I'm not at risk. Are there opportunities? Bukola, you have the Nigerian report. I'm not going to be able to go into where the opportunities are. According to Nigeria, you must understand the Nigerian context. You must understand, without everything I've been saying, you must understand how things play out in this environment, how things play out in the labor market. When I asked you what's the unemployment rate, if you're in final year, you should know. Somebody said, I think it was Stephen Covey that said, you begin with the end in mind. He thought that principle. Where are you going? You are going into the labor market. And in going into that labor market, you must understand what obtains in that market. This is a report put together by the NASG. I took the copy yesterday. It's called the Nigeria report. If you want to talk about where the opportunities are, what Nigeria is as a country. Are we a knowledge-based economy? Are we an industrialized nation? Where are we going? How do you, as one of several human capital, plug into the future of Nigeria and become a major player? You want to get this copy, and I'll leave it with your mind. Bear with me. Okay, so if you don't find an opportunity, you create one. And how do you create one? You scan the environment. You understand that every employer and every advert that you see is a cry for help, and then you tailor yourself to be the solution provider to that employer. One of the things I say to people that we counsel, I say every advert that you see is a cry for help from somebody who's trying to find people, and that you are the doctor, the employer is actually the patient. And that the premise of the employer being the doctor that's going to put you into the system and pay you in the system is actually very wrong. So you find an opportunity, you hone the opportunity. Your mother talked about, your mother is a service provider to me. She has a job in a bank. But there are other businesses that she does by the side to increase her income level. And she speaks to me about it. And I'm one of her clients, even aside from the fact that she's working. There's something that I usually say. This hasn't, panned out. Can I have the next one? As a graduate, in a place where there's a huge, crowd, one of the fastest ways, and I think PK talked about it, one of the fastest ways to get into the economy from now is to start to volunteer. How many of you have ever done a volunteer work before? You've done some internship, not IT. IT was made by IT as well. How many of you? Very few. And that's part of the challenges that we have in this environment as well. From secondary school, you should have been interacting with the workplace. So there's a longer incubation period. So you have to start that now. And it's not when you are in service, it's not when you are at youth corps, it's not when you are in camp you're going to start that. You're going to start it now. You're going to start interacting because there's a discipline, there's an ethic that happens within the four walls of a system that you need to imbibe before you actually get there. And what's happening is people don't have, you get yourself into what you call no job, no experience. So people ask you, so you want me to give you a job? Well, you don't have experience. So but how do I get experience if you don't give me a job? But there are informal ways for you to get that experience by volunteering now. So you've got to find volunteer. You have to find opportunities to volunteer your time. And what I say to people when you're putting that proposal out, because you've discovered yourself, you know who you are, you know where you're going, and you want to align with a system that would allow you to hone that capacity, hone that skill set, build some discipline that you can then go and sell to a potential employer. I ask you to Google the word employability skills, It's a bit under the radar. We're trying to bring it, we're really having conversations at national level to say, look, employability is not an agenda that we've really set as a country. I've been in a meeting where President Obama spoke about the skills that will drive America's future. And that was 2 years ago. We're not having that conversation in this environment. What makes you employable? What makes you the one that people will choose? There are certain competencies, I think about 14 of them. You've got to find out what they are, and that's the task I'm going to give you. You cannot think with your belly. At this point, you're going to have to trade a lot of your time to build your capacity. You can't be thinking, unless they pay me 100,000, I'm not going to do it. I've said it that every entrepreneur has a dream that is unfulfilled, but he has a lot of people that are dragging on him, and very few people that are willing to help him interpret that dream. And what you want to do is to position as the one that will help that entrepreneur fulfill that unspoken dream, and you become indispensable to that entrepreneur. Am I making sense? I have a lot of them on my. I have a lot of young mentees who have said, you know what? There's a situation. I know there's a situation. I'm just going to align with you. I come into the office. You have proposals to write. Look, English is still a language of business. And that's where a lot of young people, remember I told you I was shortlisting from 96,000 to 8,000. Where I was pressing delete the most was use of English. People not being able to spell. People not being able to meet basic criteria. We said in the advert, write it like this. It means that you do not pay attention to detail if you write it somewhere another way. So you're not the one that we're looking for. Because attention to detail is a value that we as a multinational place a premium on. And let me there say something. This journey, no matter how seamless or not seamless it is, will be laden with rejection. Rejection comes with the pack. Let me flip it. If you got 6 jobs today, would you take all 6? What would you do? I'm looking for a word. You reject 5, and you choose the one that serves you the most. And I've noticed, I've met people who have this. Unemployment creates a psychological burden that I personally have a real hate for. I don't think that anyone who has potential, anyone who is able, capable, can think, can read, can go the extra mile, I don't think anyone should bear that burden. But I think it's for a lack of knowledge and a lack of understanding the principles of that game and how to play that game that keep people back. And that's what I've committed my life to try to educate about. And I find that it's not the fun part of it. It's not fun. But I find that it's necessary to do. I'll probably think about other ways to do it, in a fun way. So it's not a wall, it's an entry into change. It's an opportunity for you to go back and say, what did I do well? Maybe I didn't present properly at that, maybe I didn't present well at that interview. It's constantly going back and forth. And I've always said it, the journey into the economy starts with you being able to answer comprehensively why anyone, no matter how small a business, should hire you. You must be able to answer that. You should hire me because on top of my degree in chemical engineering, I am able to do. What can you do? I said to people in the interview, leave this CV, leave this certificate. What can you do? Talk to me. What are you capable of? There's a song like that, Abby. Oh, you guys are too young to know that song. You're too young to know that song. You know the song. What are you capable of? And believe me, the answer to that would make a difference between you and somebody else that roams the street. And there are too many roaming the streets. I remember when I was in Diageo, my chairman at the time called me up and said, why are you wasting your time? Go, why are you wasting, 96,000 is too many. Go, why don't you go abroad? Run a career fair. And I remember saying, what is it that has been invested in the person who's schooled out there that we're yet to invest in our own? And when are we going to start that journey? You are caught in, hopefully I'm trusting that one day we will reform that sector. But you are caught in the middle of that. And your life is going to unfold in the middle of that reality. I asked you what the unemployment rate was. 23.9, as at some say 27, some will say, and of course in the youth space it's even higher. And that was something that was done in 2000 and a couple of years ago. So it's not even, some people say 54%. So the gist about the matter is that you yourself, if you're not able to find a job, might have to create one. Now, if you're going to create one, what kind of people do you want to align with you in the running of that vision? If I ask you 3 things that you expect someone that you recruit to have, what would they be? Anybody want to help me? Before I run away? You haven't thought about it. If I gave you 100 million naira today to start a business, integrity, resourceful, honesty. Now, how come we didn't say must have a BSc in? Have I? Yeah? Have I communicated something to you? Yes. So that's who you want to be. That's how you want to align yourself. And that's a language that you begin to speak from now. I am a value creator. I will come into your system and make it better. I'll make it better in terms of process. I'll make it more efficient. I have enough drive. I've understood myself enough to know what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are. I understand that I'm good with figures. I'm not necessarily good with people. And this is how I hedge that weakness. Okay, so I've talked about the fact that you need to network. How many of you are on social media? LinkedIn? Everybody's on social media. You'll be surprised. LinkedIn, how many people are on LinkedIn? Let me see your hand if you're on LinkedIn. Very few. That's where you're going. That's a network platform for people who are professionals. And I need you to stop thinking like students. If you're in final year, you've got to stop thinking like a student. You're at least tops 1 year into the economy. And NYC is not to go and play. NYC is to build a dossier of performance. So that when you sit across a real formal employer, you have a record of performance. When we sit across as HR managers, what we're looking for are 2 things. We say that previous performance is a predictor of future behavior. Yeah? Or either way. So the way, which is why we say to you, tell me about a time when you were under pressure and you were part of a team. Now, your answer, when you give us the answer, we're able to predict when he gets into pressure, he will rise up to the challenge. Or when he gets into the pressure as a team member, he will fall back and the rest of the team will fall back. So we don't make a decision on you. But what we find, what I found in my experience, is that when people are in the arena, that's when they start crafting. That's when they start. In fact, my colleagues said, let's go and listen to some stories. Let's go and story time, let's go. You sure we're doing the recruitment today? Let's go. You now see, I know part of psychology is that when the person is looking up, looking down, they're formulating the story. Part of it is half-truths, It's embellished. There was a time when we were running our project, so my colleague said, I'm like, look, I went to the University of Lagos. You can't hoodwink me, it didn't happen. However, because you know what you know from today, you start building a record of performance. The little things that you do to support the house, the little things that you do as a member of the team that you're in, the little things that you do as a student, an undergraduate. I organized, I planned. So when you sit across me, I see somebody who's resourceful, somebody who can administer a process, an event. I'm able to give you a chance. But if you come, what people do is they come as a blank slate and say, just have mercy. I need to have this experience. But the person that you're asking to make that decision on, you cannot afford to do that. Because they're going somewhere. They have a vision, they have a mission. They're trying to go global. And in doing that, they cannot have mercy on you and ruin their own system. So of course, we know what Kennedy said. Only you can take charge of your personal development. It is a personal process. It is something that you're going to, I think it was Brian Tracy that said it, that you must always catch yourself on a day-to-day basis. If you find yourself in an activity, you ask yourself, is this a low-value activity? Is this a high-value activity? Is this taking me where? Do I have such a strong vision? And whatever it is I'm doing at this time is taking me either towards or away from that vision. There's a lot of discipline. Piquet was someone who really made a huge difference when I was going to start my business. And at that time, he used to talk about discipline and the rigors of discipline. If you're sleeping for 8 hours in this time, so much knowledge, and there's so much to do. It's healthy to sleep for 8 hours. I'm just saying, you know. Success often occurs, I know you're rushing me now. Success often occurs in the places where you least expect it to happen. Focus on the little things, on the big, not, you know. If you focus on the little things around you, of course you will evolve into the big picture. You must be able to listen, be a good communicator. As a HR manager, I find that those who are able to articulate who they are, where they're going, usually have my attention more than, well, we've been trained, you know, the one that's not a talker should be, you know, let's prod you out, but you must know what you're carrying. You must know what you must know the value that you can add. And I think with those few words of mine, I'm going to leave you. It hasn't gone as smooth as I thought it will, but I really hope that I've been able to add some value to you this afternoon. I've asked you, I'm going to leave a link with, my brother has just been part of this Yali program, and they were given resources, they were given links, places in the world that they can log into Wharton University, you know, this online platform. So I'm going to leave it with Yomade. If you're in a database, I ask you, you have enough. It's an assignment that I'm giving to those who are serious in this environment, or those who are serious in this room today. You have a responsibility to develop your capacity. You owe it to this nation. And it's not enough, I didn't get into it, it's not enough to just look for a job these days. It's not enough. There's too much going on around in this environment for you to be consumer, you know, to be a consumer. It's in the demonstration of who you are that the community becomes a better place. So I charge you today. There's something that you're carrying, and what you're looking for is to express that thing to the fullest of your potential before you leave this side of the divide. But you need to acquire, you need to be a master, you need to have some form of mastery over the circumstance that you find yourself in. And the distinguisher will be what you do, what you invest in that will factor X, the difference that you are. And then nothing is really impossible. I don't think anything is impossible. So with these few words of mine, I hope I've been able to confuse you. I'm not convinced you.
Please don't stop. A big round of applause for Mrs. Detoun Ogwo. Thank you so much, ma'am. Because of our time, I will have to take. Because of our time, I will have to take one or two questions. Very bright questions. One or two. One hand. Please do not explain. Do not tell us what you did this morning. Just go straight. I'm not referring to anybody, please. Okay, just go straight to your question. I think I have my two questions. It's quite. Any questions from the gallery? I can see one hand there. Is there any other hand there? Okay, so we'll take one from up there. We'll take one from here. Please send the other one there. I'll take the person here, please. If you don't mind, please let's have the lady. If you don't mind, gentleman, please. So let's have it.
Thank you, Ma. Please, my question goes thus. I want to ask if everyone is supposed to go into a work environment first before establishing a business. Do we need that experience? She made a statement like that, but then I want to be clear. Do we need such an experience first before we establish a business? If you have.
Great question. Let's quickly have the second one so she will answer both. Are you there?
Yes.
Great. So let's have a question.
I want to ask for the volunteering opportunities. Where can we find them?
Can you find them? Fine, thank you.
Okay, the first question, I will give you the best practice answer, and then and the reality answer. There's no fixed best practices. There are certain disciplines. It's the same way we say, if you sit for an MBA, it's not likely that you would be able to maximize the full benefit of an MBA until you're running a business. Some people argue along those lines that
you know what? And from my personal experience, I like the fact that I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm also in the classroom at the same time. So to answer your question, it depends. It depends on what you're selling, the product that you're selling, the services that you're offering. Your mother is still doing her business. And there's a benefit of instant, she has the benefit of constant pay, which someone who's blank out in the market, just doing what they're doing, doesn't have. So it's one of those situational, the situation that you find yourself. I would say if you cannot find a job, start a business. There's no reason why. I say to my children, you do not need a certificate to start a business. What is a business? There's a need in an environment, and you go and you miss the need. In fact, some of our students at some point started moving to places like Adamawa, started moving, there's security issues now. Because we all keep ourselves in this one Lagos trying to all enter Chevron. So we create a problem even by that thinking. So this is a vast land of 36 states, opportunities everywhere. There's no lounge I've ever sat in from any continent that is never full of Caucasians. So I think to my husband, I say, what are they looking for in this troublesome land that I'm yet to see? What are they looking for? If it's so bad, if it's that bad, the challenge is we haven't woken up. We're not aware. And I wonder sometimes because we're colonized. So, this industrial age, go to school, go to work, But that paradigm has to change. Reality is forcing it to change. We've got to be disruptive about what's going on now. If you can't find a job, create one. Get other and create one for other people. So I hope I've answered your question. So it's not a form jacketed, you must, unless don't start the business until you have entered Chevron and done 2 years. No. You can actually get the discipline from the workplace by volunteering. If your business allows you to do that. So 2 weeks in an auntie's office that does whatever. Then, because see, there's a discipline that working creates. Waking up in the morning and going, doing things. There's a discipline that it creates that you also want in your business. Because you find that some businesses don't keep records, they don't do things. Everything is just centered around the day the person drops, the business drops. And the next question is: there are voluntary opportunities everywhere. In your neighborhood, you see, what has happened is that you've been looking for niche opportunities, you haven't been looking for problems. And the fastest place that you can really hone, and you can really hone your capacity, and the only place where you can really grow is when there are problems. So people are not plugging themselves. Everybody's just looking for ready-made, Japanese car, ready-made. Everybody's looking for what is ready-made. And if we're all looking for ready-made things, then that is a limited supply. But the people who have become the wealthiest, and people who have become the most successful, have been the ones who've gone into rough. They've gone into the rough and into the dirt and try and make something out of it. And then everybody tags along. And that's what you want to be as well. I received a very humbling call yesterday. Somebody wanted to know one of the leading foundations in Nigeria. Can you tell us the unemployment rate in Nigeria? So I laughed. I said, am I Yemi Kale? Yemi Kale is the chief statistician of Nigeria. If you don't know that name, it's a problem too. Look, honestly, you've got to become more aware. You've got to wake up. I need to use that word. What is happening out there, you cannot afford, you're not immune from it all. And I would advise you from today, create a plan. What is going to happen to me in the economy next plan. There is a demand for that level. And until you understand the demand of that level, now I'll give you what Mike Murdoch said, that pursuit is the proof of desire. If you really want to excel in this economy, there are certain things, midnight oils that you're going to have to burn. The only pursuit of that desire is if you really leave this place and go and do those things. Otherwise, it's a waste of my time, a waste of all the speakers' time, a waste of the people who organize this time. The real test of everything that you've heard here, whether I bored you this afternoon or not, is what you do. It's in the doing. It's in the application of everything. The next speaker is going to come up. And thank you so much for all the support you've given us, Liz. We've never met. I didn't know that. Look at your wife. Oh, okay. Not yet. I didn't work with very well. Come from way back. Good to see you.
So I plead with you. I put my Twitter handle. I'm not very good at Twitter. I'm trying to get onto it. But I put my Twitter handle on the PowerPoint, and let's keep this conversation going. There are lots of companies jumping on the fact that there is a problem. And if you're young in this environment and you want to even get into the youth employment space, let's talk.
Please another round of applause for Mrs. Ogwo. Okay guys, our last speaker is here. We're going to bring him up shortly, but before we do that, I need to strike a deal